Okay, it is 6 o'clock. Since this is the Quarry Valley Reorganization meeting, we do not have a board chair, so therefore I have to begin the meeting. So I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item on our agenda is to nominate a board chair. I would like to open the floor for any nominations.
I'd like to nominate Mike Mosier.
Do we have a second?
I'd like to nominate Eric.
Do we have a second on either of those?
I'll second for Eric.
Okay.
I'll second for Mike.
Okay, all right. All right, so we have Mike Moser and we have Eric Heyer. Any other nominations? Okay, so we will do a roll call vote. So when I call your name, please tell me who you are going to be voting for. Second. This will begin. Sarah?
Mike.
Okay. Lisa?
Mike.
Tom?
Eric?
Okay. Lauren?
Eric.
Okay. Pat?
Eric.
Okay. And I'm sorry, is it Pat or Patricia? I just want to make sure I'm just...
Pat's fine.
Okay, thank you. Linda?
Eric.
Okay. Eric?
Eric?
Jessica?
Eric.
Okay. And Mike?
Me.
Okay. Okay, by a vote of 6-3, congratulations, Eric, you are chair. So I'll turn it over to you. Okay. As well as that. Thank you.
Do I have a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Lisa.
Okay. Do I have any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Jess.
Okay. Sarah? Who would you like to vote for?
Are we doing a roll call vote?
Roll call vote, yeah. Yeah, that's all right.
Lisa.
Lisa?
Lisa.
Tom?
Jess?
Lauren?
Jess.
Pat?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
Jess.
Okay. Jess?
Self.
Mike?
Lisa.
So a vote 5-3. Jess, you are the vice chair.
Yep.
Okay, do we have a nomination for clerk?
I nominate Sarah.
Okay, a nomination for Sarah.
Only if you raise the remuneration for this one. It's a very hard job.
Any other nominations? Sarah?
Okay. Excuse me.
Lisa?
Sarah?
Tom?
Sarah?
Lauren?
Sarah.
Pat?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Linda?
Sarah?
Sarah?
Sarah.
Mike? It's unanimous.
Thank you for entrusting me with this solemn duty,
Congratulations.
everyone.
I think you have a mandate.
Oh my God. And a cough to go with it, sorry.
Fill this in after. Okay, next we have to vote on, we need nominations for GRCSU voting members. We need 3. And we normally do that by town. Chris?
Traditionally, that is what the board has done. but
Okay.
There's,
Are we staying with tradition? Okay. So do we have a nomination for Proctor?
I'll nominate Lisa.
Okay. Right. Do we have a nomination for West Rutland?
I'll nominate Jeff.
I'll nominate Mike.
Do we have a nomination for Boltley?
I nominate Eric.
Are there any other nominations for each town? Okay. If there's one person, do we have to go through the process of, well, yeah, we can just do,
it only
Do
be, right, if
aye.
the board, it was to stay with one voting member from each town, then if there are more than one members from that town, you'd have to then take a roll call vote
Okay.
to break that.
all right. So all in favor of Lisa? I don't think we have to take a roll call vote for if there's one person, do we?
No. No.
Aye.
Okay. Everybody else is in favor of that? Aye. Okay. West Rutland will need to do a roll call vote. Sarah?
Sorry, so it's Mike and Jess were the nominated. Mike?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lisa?
Mike?
Tom?
Yes.
Jess.
Jess.
Jess?
Myself.
Mike? So a vote from 3 to 5. Jess, you are the nominated voting board member for GRCSU. And then for Poltley, all in favor for Eric Heyer, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Oops. All right, we need to set a regular meeting schedule. Are we going to keep it the same Thursday of the month? What is it, the third?
The second.
Second week of the month?
Yep.
Every second week,
So moved.
Thursday? So moved. All right, we need to set the date for the annual board retreat. Anybody have any suggestions?
Any day but a Monday.
Any day but the Monday?
Yes, please.
Okay.
We've piggybacked it before on a regular meeting day. Is that another option?
Yeah, I think we could do that.
It also is going to depend if you're having someone come in or not, to build it around that. I would set it for the July meeting, and then in May or something, determine what you're gonna do. Are you gonna have a speaker
Okay.
come? Or are you gonna have someone from the VSBA? Because that's gonna determine your date.
I make a motion that we have the meeting tape, how did we say it, not tabled, but tacked on to the
Piggyback
July,
to the July.
piggyback to the July meeting. And in May, make a decision whether we're going to have somebody help us to facilitate that July meeting.
Okay. So there's a motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Set the date of the annual meeting. That's already been established. It's pretty much typed in ink. And it's on February 24th, 2026 at 7 p.m. At West Rutland Town Office.
Town hall.
Or Town Hall. Oops, I'll have them make that change.
Might be the conference.
Okay. We need to affirm the use of Robert's rules for small boards.
So moved.
Review and accept VSBA Code of Ethics.
So moved.
Do we have those?
You're in that
Packet.
packet.
Oh. So if we don't have paper packets, we don't have them.
Oh, they're within our packet right there. Yep.
Right. So if the board makes a motion to formally adopt, and
Yeah. Can we sign them in the drive or no?
you could, or we could just bring them to the April board meeting as well. I'll have a copy for everybody.
Do we have a motion then to accept?
Motion.
Okay. So a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Identify locations where agendas and minutes will be posted.
School, library, town office, post office.
Could I know there have been issues with the post office.
We only have to post 3 places, so
Right, so I know that's.
that's a fourth option, so.
Okay.
So school, town offices, and
Library,
library?
yeah, and post office. I just think,
Do you post them at the library?
yeah,
Okay.
We also post here at the central office and on the website. So-
Because I haven't, okay.
It's
So
at
there's
the
4
library.
places?
Yeah, it's at the library.
Okay.
but a lot of towns post at the post office, so that's why I think it's important for us to just include the post office too. Yeah, if it doesn't get there, it doesn't. It's just a fourth place.
Okay.
The issue is in some towns that it's not getting posted in all of the post offices at Quarry Valley.
Yeah,
And so Christine McGinnis could do that, but then she would have to be reimbursed for travel because you have to physically go down and actually put it up in the post office.
I've actually delivered it to Proctor before,
Yeah.
quite a
so-
few times.
Yeah. So she's okay with doing that, she just wanted to make sure, so.
It's hard for me to do that right now, though, with
Yep.
my schedule.
No, that's what,
Okay, we need to affirm the choice of an attorney.
Chris Leopold.
Do we need that in the form of a motion?
So
Ma-
moved?
Okay, so motion's been made. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Identify media sources.
Rutland Herald.
What's the other one's online.
Lakeside
the-
News.
the
Lakes
town-
Free Press,
The Free Press is now online.
correct. It's all
So-
digital now, I do believe.
We could still have that as a, okay, Free Press.
Any other venues?
What about Lakeside News?
Lakeside News.
Lakeside?
News?
You gonna have two in Pulteney?
Hmm?
You gonna have two papers in Pulteney? Are you going to have two papers in Pulteney? Or is it
We,
one?
Lakeside is
Pick another
like,
one then.
like for Bombazine, it's an area.
Yeah, it doesn't include Proctor.
It
So
doesn't?
pick-
No.
Okay.
Pick one.
What's one for Proctor?
Right.
Well, I'm just saying, whatever we pick, then we have to.
Vermont
pu-
Digger?
Oh, I don't know. Whatever we pick, though, that's what we have to publish on, so.
Okay.
Vermont Digger.
So are we saying, like, we have a primary where we're publishing things and the rest are secondary, or we're publishing in all of them?
Well, could we say Rutland Herald's primary?
That's what I would say.
Okay.
And I
Rutland
wouldn't even
Herald
think you have to
primary,
list the other ones. If you want to submit things to them, you could.
And we could submit to Lakeside and Vermont Digger.
But
Okay.
does Rutland Herald allow you to access it online? If you don't
I was gonna say, if you don't
subscribe
have
to
a
the Herald?
subscription, no.
Okay. So that shouldn't be the primary then?
No, I'm just wondering, because
It
you're
still
not going
gets
to reach
printed,
all
it still gets printed, so it can still be the primary, so online is a choice, it's not a requirement.
So just to clarify, then, when we warrant next year, like, for, is your awarding, you want us to warrant in the Vermont Digger as well?
No, if we pick Rutland Herald as a primary, we would
Okay,
just,
I'm just trying to clarify, because
we
as
would
we
just
read this.
warn in Rutland Herald.
That's-
That's why I would
Okay.
only select one.
Well, as Pat said, people don't get the Herald.
That's their choice.
There's a certain number of free access articles for the Herald online, so
So they could get it.
you
Yep.
can, it's like 7 a month.
10.
Or 10, is it something like that?
All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
all right. so-
Without an account and without a login.
Yep.
So all right, so let's do Rutland Herald then as primary? And
Okay.
the other two as secondary?
Okay. So motion's been made.
I make a motion to do that.
All in, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right, we need to authorize the administration to request and expend available grant funds from the Agency of Education, as well as state and federal funds.
So moved.
Shouldn't that read the superintendent?
Hmm?
Shouldn't that read the superintendent? That may have been an old form.
It says administration.
I think you need to designate the superintendent, because administration means Jay and Joe and everybody else.
Okay.
It should be the superintendent authorized.
And/or designee them. Because I do believe there are times where Lisa Madison will be, or Lewis, or,
Do you need a motion? I make a motion that we authorize the superintendent / designee to authorize the rest of that on there.
All right, a motion's been made. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right, we need to, number 10, authorize board to borrow funds for UUSD pending receipt of payment from the state education fund.
Make the motion?
Motion's been made. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right. Oh, there's page 2. Can't forget that. All right. 11, authorize the board chair to sign director's orders and other documents on behalf of the board as necessary. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And passes, okay. Number 12, assign GRCSU subcommittee representatives. GRCSU negotiations team. Need 3.
So we're currently in negotiations, and actually, we have a meeting,
24th.
yeah, 2 Mondays. So it might be beneficial to keep with the same negotiation team since we've already started.
Okay.
So that would be Linda, Mike, and myself. And-
How many meetings have you had?
We have had,
Dozens.
yeah, several. And we settled the paras, so we'll be signing that with the union and with all the other districts as well.
So there's a motion to keep the GRCSU negotiations team with the current board members as representatives. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Policy committee, we need 2.
I think Sarah's currently on policy.
Yeah, it's currently Sarah and I.
Yeah, I think it might be good to keep the same ones because they have 2 people leaving policy. So it would be good to have that continuity.
Okay. So motion's been made to keep Sarah and Lauren on the policy committee. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Buildings and Grounds Committee, we need 2. Tom, you're on that?
Sure.
And who was the second?
Rebecca was the second, I think.
Okay.
You want to do that? I'll do it. Okay. Grounds Committee.
So motions, we have a motion for that, right?
Yeah, I'll make a motion
Okay.
for the Tom and Linda to be on the grounds committee.
Motion's been made for Tom and Linda to be on the Buildings and Grounds Committee.
Buildings and grounds,
Buildings and Grounds.
sorry.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Stafford and RAB representative for 2025-2026 school year.
I'll nominate Mike.
Nomination has been made for Mike as Stafford RAB representative for 2025-2026 school year. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Okay.
Do we want this document for the GRCSU?
So, I need a motion to approve the agenda. A motion's been made to approve the agenda. Any additions, deletions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on. Are there any general public comments? Okay. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve approval of minutes on January 9th, 2025, February 25th, 2025, and February 27th of 2025?
I make a motion with corrections.
Okay.
On the 25th, February 25th,
Mhm.
page 2, or page 3, D, there was a motion made to support the Pulteney High School trip to Massachusetts. I made the motion.
Okay. Are there any other corrections? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Approval of the warrants. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Superintendent's report for information only.
I just want to say thanks, because that was incredible. The VSBA meeting was last night, and that was as comprehensive as the VSBA meeting. The only other thing that came up was that they suggested that we ask our districts how much we're getting in federal funding, that we should know that, and it should come to, that the board should know how much may not be coming in federal funding, so that we have an idea. But that was about it.
We'll have that information for the April board meeting for you.
Yes,
Okay.
next
Yep.
board meeting. Yeah,
Great. Okay.
thank you.
Eric, there are two things I just wanted to highlight in here, if that's okay.
Mhm.
So first, I just wanted to say thank you to the communities of Proctor, West Rutland, and Pulteney for voting in support of our school budgets and our staff and our schools. So just want to say thank you. And also want to congratulate Tom and Sarah on the re-election to the school board, and also welcome Pat back to the school board. I know that, but welcome. So I'm glad to have all three of you in here. In the board resource folder, as part of the budget communication plan, the final step for this year was around a communication survey. I did place a draft in the resource folder for your review. It is the same draft that Rutland Town School District has seen, as well as Wells Springs, but understand that each district may have some different things they're looking back, different feedback. So what I would ask is just at the April board meeting, if there are any suggestions, edits, changes to the survey that you would like to make, please just let me know, because I would like to at the April board meeting, just have a motion that this will be the survey, and then I can get that out to the communities. And it really is just collecting feedback on the information that was sent out on behalf of the board around our budgets and what we can do better and how we can better reach community members and what sort of information they're looking for. So we're continually looking to try to improve upon what it is we are doing. So particularly as we're going through, we'll be going through another contentious year with budgeting and with the state of education here in the state of Vermont as well as nationally as well.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Moving on to principals' reports.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to those of you who are returning and joining. You have my report in the folder, but I wanted to highlight, coming up on April 16th, from 5:30 to 6:30, we are hosting a celebration of work night. So classes will be in the gym, and they will be bringing their cross-curricular activities that they've been working on throughout the year, and most currently. So I would invite you to come to that. We are also going to have students making a mini golf course to play throughout the building, as well as our PTO will be there, and our 6th grade class will be there to raise funds for their trip coming up in May. So we'll make sure that you guys get a flyer, but would love to see you guys come out and support.
What was that date?
It is Wednesday, April 16th, from 5:30 to 6:30.
Okay. Anything further? Jay?
All right, well, good evening, everybody. Couple of highlights. Night of Shining Stars is next Wednesday night, 5:30 to 7. We have made a concerted effort to really improve our practice with this. It kind of had gotten a little dull, to be quite honest, and the faculty themselves wanted to improve it. So we have made this more of a community effort as well. We've got folks coming from the town hall to do a voter registration. The Historical Society is coming. West Rutland Fire Department is coming with CO2 detectors and fire smoke detectors. We have a Scholastic Book Fair going on. All of the students' presentations are tied directly to priority standards, and those are listed in the booklet that we have. We have folks from our Everybody Wins, which is a literacy mentor program, and our student council is also going to be there with a booth, and I know I'm forgetting a few others. We've got some live demonstrations going on for science, little like Bill Nye Science Guy stuff going on, and we have our food and cultures class has made or will be making Irish soda bread, and they are going to, I know it's a little late to the game, all right, 2 days late, I get that, but they will be there and have loaves for sale as well. And also in the next couple weeks, I was just on a meeting today, our student council, which was created or recreated a few years ago, is helping us with the Vermont Risk Youth Survey that the students have already taken. And they will be working with a group called Up for Learning. We've worked with them for the last 4 years on youth leadership. And actually, we did a Quarry Valley, actually it was a full GRCSU collaboration because we had Rutland Town, Proctor, Pulteney, and West Rutland students participating. And they are going to be working with the Up for Learning folks to unpack and create an action plan based around the results of the Youth Risk Survey. So we're excited about the good work that they're doing. Just hitting real quick the FastBridge, the information that you have. One of the things that we do, and we all do, but one of the things that we have done the last couple of weeks is our educational support team meeting has been doing kind of data mining with each teacher, looking at, we have both first grade teachers come in and we go right through their results. Looking at positives, we look at deltas, and really try to dig down. And, you know, when you have a cohort of maybe 30 students in a grade, 1 or 2 students, everybody takes the test just about. 1 or 2 students can sway scores up or down. But more importantly, I'm looking at student growth. We all are, trying to make sure that our students are making good growth on that. And also looking at the grade level, and looking at trends too, to see where there might be some dips within our curriculum or programming that we need to be aware of. So there's a lot of information. I know you get the FastBridge results, we put our information in, but yes, there's students who are making progress, but there's a whole lot more to it that doesn't necessarily make it into a presentation.
Is that growth measured with each individual student?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And we all do that. So,
Perfect.
yes. We are actually very tight as a admin team when it comes to looking at this information and what
Good.
we're going to do with it.
Yep.
So, and our data, and our interventionists are instrumental in helping us really dive into that data as well.
Okay.
So, but just wanted to give them a shout out too.
That's
Perfect.
Wednesday, the 19th.
Wednesday the 19th,
Thank you.
5:30 to 7.
Thank
Parking will be as tough as it is tonight for the Glossic tournament. It's going to be, it's going to be a very challenging night for parking. But, you know, doors will be open by 5, if not 4:45. And it's a drop in, drop out. Like, people come in, they spend 10, 15 minutes or longer, and they leave. Most people end up spending, you know, close to an hour there. But it's just a very nice informal evening. We're all located in the cafeteria, the gym, the hallway between those two places, and the library and the music wing. There's going to be lots of stuff going on.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
You're up.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, Pat. We've worked together before. It's nice to have you back. A couple of things I'd like to let you know of. I'd like to invite you to our Star Assembly we have coming up April 11th. It's led by the students, and the theme will be acceptance. That's at 8:30 in the morning. We have a celebration of learning on May 8th. This is our first time that we've come together as a school to do this, so we're pretty excited. The PTO is going to be supporting us in this event. It's May 8th from 5:30 to 7, and we will also be having a golf course, so.
Maybe we should have a tournament.
And we will have some solo performances in the gym. Everyone will be in the gym. We're trying to do it that way, to keep everyone together, and it will be, again, a walkthrough kind of thing. We hope to have door prizes, so even more motivation. Liz, are you having door prizes?
Well,
now.
We are.
It takes up days outside.
We have our Memorial Day ceremony coming up. I know I'm pushing it out there, but it's May 23rd, and it's something that's really near and dear to our school. So if anyone can ever come, we'd love to have you. Talking about the FastBridge, we have, just like all of us, we use the data, and we'll be looking at it on Friday, well, tomorrow, as we make our, as we are in the process of developing our continuous improvement plans for the upcoming year. And I'm really excited and proud of my staff. We're working with the Stern Center, all grades K through 3 teachers, so we're having embedded professional development for them. So it's pretty awesome. And the coach will be making an on-site visit March 20th. That will be her first time in person, so.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Again, welcome back, Pat. Our model Congress that you guys let go down to Massachusetts last weekend, one of their bills got out of committee, which is a huge thing. It was, I believe it was a standard ground bill that the kids put forward, but we had 9 students put out 3 bills. So it was kind of, you know, we told the kids at Monday morning meeting, we go down and we're going against schools that have more kids in their school than we have in our town type thing. So it's kind of cool that our kids can get that experience. And I don't know if they realized it or not when I told them that we've been going to Model Congress since I was in the building, which was almost 40 years now, not dating myself, but yeah, Don Kagi started it back in the 80s, so it's been around a long time. Good to see it going. Another thing that we, COVID kind of put a kibosh to, but we resurrected it this year too, is Poetry Out Loud. Mr. Hallman brought a student up to Barry last week. Sam Richards was up there doing the Poetry Out Loud. She recited her poem at Monday morning meeting as well, so it was nice to get that back going again. Miss Sarley, who's joining us tonight, she sent out an email inviting everyone. Friday is for the first 20 minutes of her English class with the 7th graders, silent reading and I know Dr. Ciccarelli went last week. I tried going today. I got about 10 minutes before I got called out, and I was told not to bring my radio and phone, but Scott Hallman was down there as well, so it's kind of cool to, good modeling for that. Up for Learning, we are working with them as well. We're doing something a little different this year. We're looking at conflict resolution with our middle school students, and we're just getting that ball rolling with them. And our art students are in 3 different art shows right now. We have 17 students at the Chaffee Art Show. We have 3 students down in Manchester at the Southern Vermont Art Center. And we have 11 students at the Vermont State House exhibition, which will be in a couple weeks. That one will start up. So Mrs. Christensen does a great job of getting our kids' artwork out there, and so exciting to see all these things going on right now. And we're welcoming, Kristen's helping us out tomorrow too, but everyone's going to be in Pulteney tomorrow. Special educators and paraprofessionals will be at the elementary school, and everyone else will be at the high school. So.
Okay.
Eric, I'm sorry, I would be remiss if I didn't share Jen and ours collaboration. We have mentors coming from the high school down to the elementary school, and that's been going on for about a month. So we've seen some great relationships forming kind of authentically, and
Nice.
I know she would say, why didn't you share that? So I wanted to make sure, and I apologize, I thought we were going to circle back and do FastBridge. The only thing I wanted to highlight from my analysis was that we are re-looking at a comprehensive literacy plan that was developed before I came over. And so my interventionist and I had spent some time developing a comprehensive literacy plan, which will actually feed into what the high school is doing. So I was expected to come back around, so I apologize.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything on FastBridge?
Yeah, I'll just, it was interesting looking at our numbers. We split our interventionist with Jay in West Rutland, and so we have ELA for 6 months, and they have the math for 6 weeks, excuse me, and they have math for 6 weeks, and we flip-flop, and we noticed a little dip in the math grades, or the math scores, excuse me. But we literally did the testing 2 days before Elena came back to our building, so she hadn't been there so we're going to see what the spring brings to us with that, just kind of seeing is that correlation with it. But we observed some growth in reading, but a little decline in math. So
Okay.
are we looking at, with the interventionist, is that something?
I saw that. It seems like in the schools, the kids that might be struggling made a jump, and the kids at the other end made a jump. But it seemed like the kids in the middle
Yeah.
That was interesting. So thank you for sharing that.
Okay. All right, moving on to old business. The advisory article, school consolidation. And that's in our packet. You included that, right, Chris? Thought I saw
It's
it.
in his report,
Oh, it was, okay.
yeah.
Well, I think this is more around, you had put the advisory article on the ballot. And now the question is, what does the board want to do with you had a yes vote. So I think it was more that, when we discussed was, what are the next steps? Now that they have this information, that when you place this our item on the ballot, you said you were going to revisit what you're going to do with the yes or no vote. And I think that's what this discussion was going to be about, was the next steps with that yes vote.
Well, we got a couple things going on. We have the state is working around consolidation, and then we have consolidation now at our district level. I think that the first steps would be to decide how to proceed as far as do we want to look at seeing what a consultant's fees would be
This is the board.
to do work as far as gathering information and data and that sort of thing. Does anybody have anything to add?
I'm curious about getting too far into the weeds before we know what actions the state are going to take as well. I mean, it may be too far into the weeds in this case. I mean, maybe spending money, right, on a consultant. So that's one, just with everything that's going, it seems like something is going to happen at the state level, and we don't know what it is, but there's a lot of uncertainty. But no matter what happens, will likely impact our conversations, so.
How about-
Something I've been thinking about, but.
Maybe it would be a good idea to do an assessment, like as far as what each, like maintenance costs, that sort of thing, with,
I'd like that.
with,
That would be a good thing to know.
with Lewis doing
A
that kind
basic-
of, yeah,
Building,
breaking down the cost, like a cost for each school.
So I think too, when you're looking at a systematic process, which I think we would owe it to everyone in our towns to have a systematic process around something like this, we'd want to identify a series of criteria that very much likely would include facilities costs, but would also need to touch on other financial considerations, legal considerations, community impacts, educational quality, outcomes and impacts, right? So there's like a big bucket of data that we would really need, I think, to identify what are our criteria to collect those data, have conversations amongst ourselves about them, have conversations with the community about them, and those sorts of things. So that's where I mean, we can, so I just want to put that out there too, right? Like building, we can talk about collecting some data, but if we're going to talk about collecting some data, do we want to have a conversation about a meaningful and systematic
well, how
conversation,
about
right?
this, Sarah, I like that, is that, how about we create like a subcommittee to sit down and to actually create, to sit down, we can't, maybe we don't have the ability to have the whole board.
To lay out the process?
Well, yeah, to sit down and talk about what do we want, if we want the data, what data do we want? So, and then we bring it back to the board and say, this is what we, as three people, say, looked at, this is how we don't even have the data, but this is how, this is the process of, we think that the board may want that information about the buildings. We think that they would want something about, how much it costs to run the building, how many kids are in the building, and maybe just have a discussion first outside of that, and then bring that information back to the board in, say, April.
I like having the conversation here. I think we ask the voters. I think we owe it to have it at a public meeting, an open meeting where there's transparency with conversation. I think in April, if that's something you want to do, we can put that on the agenda for April. I don't think April's an incredibly heavy agenda, and if it's important to us, then you carve it out in the agenda to make it there. But I think it's important that conversations like this are held in public, that they are warned if they are just discussion, or warned if they are discussion and action, so that the public knows what we're doing.
I have to agree. I think involving the public is important.
Have no problem with that.
Pat?
Well, I think, I agree with what's being said. I think the first meeting should just be information and hearing from each town. Because if we get information we don't know, or don't have, or need to find out, we shouldn't take action that night. I think they should be two separate meetings. Given, and then give them feedback. We'll have time to look at, what's been said. But to take action at the initial meeting, I don't think is in our best interest.
I don't think we have the expertise among us to be able to do that analysis in a fair way. We can collect numbers, but numbers, so we need to know projection of school growth, population growth. There's a whole lot of factors that need to be considered, and I'm not sure we have the expertise to do that here.
Chris, have you ever gone through a consolidation?
No. I think, talking about the superintendents, I think I know that a lot of community members, when that article, the big question was why? And I know, same thing at Wells Springs, when Wells Springs was looking at having these consolidation discussions. They had community forums and both in Middletown Springs and Wells. The first question I think a lot of the board will answer is, well, why? You know, okay, we're interested in this, but why? What is the rationale? We look at the state, what's happening right now at the state level and all these different plans. A lot of people are saying, okay, why? And it went from finance now to improve educational quality. It's like this moving target at the state level. So I think, you know, these are all good points, but I would suggest if you're going to get community input, you really have to look at, one, this meeting in April has to be at one of our schools to allow for public to be there. There's no way it could fit interested public here. But you may also want to look at, do we have a separate forum in each town to discuss this and get feedback? So, I mean, this is, and I know the question was asked at Wellspring last night as they were talking about consolidation. Is this going to save us in the eyes of the state? Will this, you know, kind of stave off? And no one knows what that's going to be. I think we all have to understand consolidation is going to occur. And I know I've heard discussions in multiple models where 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, all of our high schools are gone, not in existence. Yeah, I've heard some where maybe use of our current facility. That's just the reality we have to understand, that we are in crosshairs, that we have 3 high schools. We are seen in Montpelier as kind of a model of these small schools that need to be merged and what that may look like. So I think there are a lot of good discussions, but I think the community is asking why, because there are a lot of people saying there's value to a small school, to our communities, to our students. So it's a very complex conversation. I think the state and our legislators are realizing this now as they're really delving into this. So.
Well, we got Eric who said, do we need to ask for somebody? Mike said we're not able. So do we we have 2 separate things going on. Do we want then to have somebody come in and help us? Because we did ask the question. They answered in yes. So, I mean, we've got to, then it's sort of like, well, we don't really care what you say because we asked it, but we're not going to do anything about it because we don't have the expertise. Well, then do we ask for expertise to ask them? Chris has a good point. Do we use April and May for going to the town to say and have meetings and open it up at the schools to say with each town, we asked you, the answer was yes. Okay, so, or do we just have somebody come in and help us? We know there's going to be, the long and the short of it is that the money it's even scarier now without the federal money possibility. So we did ask the town, they did say yes. The town said yes. It seems like it was a low amount of people that came from 3 towns for me.
We had, less than 200 people in our town voted?
185.
Yeah, we had 400, so, but they did say yes, the people that did come.
Sure. And the article says explore, right? So, I think by having these conversations and seeing what our next steps are, this is all part of exploration, right? I'm curious, my tendency is to be a little cautious about opening up community forums before we have.
I think we need to be organized.
This group,
Before-
as to the
Yeah.
why, we've articulated a general why. Linda just re-articulated it as well, right? This idea that the financial picture has been hard. We also need to keep educational quality at the center of this conversation, right? So that's our ultimate goal here, right? Is quality education for all of our Quarry Valley students. And there might be different ways to get there as well, right? And consolidation's been one of the things that we've talked about. So I'd be hesitant to come to a community and have and open up for conversation before we can answer some basic questions ourselves. But that's just my feeling.
So then it goes back to, again, if we're not qualified, is there anybody out there that is qualified And do we ask them, and who would that be? So we go back to the same thing of Eric and Mike, of who is that? And then Sarah, of let's follow a process, which I always like following a process of how it goes, because that, you still have the discussion, but you follow a process.
There should be a procedure.
Yes.
So it seems like we should determine what the process and procedure is before we determine that we're going to expend taxpayer dollars on something that may not have any, depending on how the session ends this year or crossover bills. I'm hesitant to expend taxpayer dollars on a consultant when even some of our legislatures are saying, like, maybe take a breath. So.
Right, but they're hiring a consultant. The legislature, we heard last night, they're hiring people because they need help also. A couple of the things that they said was that they're working on our calendar and class size because they don't know, as Lisa said, we don't know what the crossover is going to be because they're not really talking crossover yet. So they feel that that it's going to go longer than this year. They feel that is going to be a much longer session this year than it's ever been before because of it.
Right, but we could be spending dollars in vain because whatever they decide is going to supersede anything we decide, was my point. Not
Right.
that, so we.
But if we do nothing and we ask the town, do you want us to have this discussion? Then we're not even doing what the towns have asked us to do.
No, we can have the discussion. No one's saying don't have the discussion. The discussion is picking a process, picking the procedure, putting a timeline. What is the criteria? What is the answer to the why when you have a forum or the public comes in? What is this board's response? Because that response should be as a board. So.
And
So
I
why
think
don't we have the
a
dis-
constructive process that takes into account the legislative session as well, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it might lengthen the process a little bit more than, right, because it sounds like, when do they typically go? What, it's
May,
end of May, but it might go into June this year, is that what they're?
And longer.
yeah.
And longer, so, I mean, we might have to take some slower steps at the beginning here so that we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves, right? But you could probably create a process of, and fact finding is gonna take a little while, I mean, that's just the basics of it,
How about we
especially
come back,
depending on the amount of data, so we could probably do both, right?
yeah, and how about we come back in April and, maybe take a look and think about what the process would look like, and then we can have a discussion about the process at that point. Is that acceptable?
I think so.
Okay. Moving on to new business, bus monitor.
Eric, can I just,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to ask, should we begin to think changing our location of our board meetings as we have these discussions, so if members of the public would like to hear or, because like I said, it is.
Oh, were you saying,
Yes.
You weren't
I
saying
thought
like
you
a
wanted to
special
open it up
forum.
to, I was taking it as
No.
you're opening it up to public, like.
like a special forum?
Right,
But if
right,
we're going to have-
That's what I was
right.
thinking.
If you're going to have a board meeting where you're going to be discussing this, you may have some individuals who would like to attend in person.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we're limited here, we have Dawn, we could have, 4 other people, then the rest are standing, but if we have it, we can rotate or whatever it may
Yeah. I
be,
see what
but
you're
we
saying.
have these meetings in our school, in our gyms, where
Yeah.
if more people want to attend, there's more room for, like at Polding, we have at the
I
library.
would love it if we started in West Rutland, if Jay would, because that's the middle of both Pulteney and Proctor. I would love to have it in a place where people, and if we did, post it and say, we're gonna have this discussion, it might be easier for people to get to West Rutland if you think that would be okay.
We just have to be able to look at the calendar, and I don't see a reason why we couldn't. I'll do what the board asks us to do.
I think before you have a meeting, you need to have an agenda. You need to know what's going to be on the agenda.
I think they're
What's
saying
This
just
is
the
a regular board meeting,
regular
That's what I'm
agenda,
suggesting.
It's
right?
just a regular board meeting, it's not
So your
a special.
anticipation that going to a different school is going to bring out more people.
I think that was the thinking, yeah.
You have the opportunity, if
For
people
public
want to
forum.
come out to discuss this or hear what the board, that we're not just limited to online.
Mhm.
We may not get anyone, we may, but I just was asking the board if that's something that they would like to take a look at.
Right, exactly.
Might be like
If
our
you
meeting we
open
had
it
in
up,
Polteny
they-
last,
that's-
where
Yeah.
the basketball court was full and we were empty in the library. But at least they have an opportunity.
Do we try it just once and see what we get for
It's
attendance?
I just was
mean,
asking
I-
the board if that's something we would like to
I
consider.
think we should do all
do
three.
it once and
See what
5
happens.
people, I mean,
All right.
It's a long walk between here and
you
there.
know?
Well, but I think your attendance is going to grow as the process moves along.
This is gonna be a very long process. We're all new to it.
I understand, but
This is gonna
like,
be a
the
year, 2 years.
the April meeting may not be very exciting for people when you're putting a timeline together. But when you start talking more in the nuts and bolts of it, once people see the timeline, I don't think I would do it necessarily for the April meeting, because you don't really have anything. You're just deciding what the timeline is going to be. I think once you have that, then you can break it out and do it, but
Timeline should be not open-ended, but
I'm fine
it's out
with
there. This was a big,
having our regular
I mean,
meeting
this is,
at West Rutland High
everybody's
School.
new.
Okay, so do we have a motion to have our regular board meeting next month at West Rutland High School?
I would let Jay just see what's going on in his building first, and then get back to Chris, and then let you know, before we determine if something's transpiring. I mean, not that we have sports yet, we just have pitchers and
Do you have your
catchers.
calendar on your computer?
April 10th, Jay.
Sorry, I didn't want to be rude. So April 10th, there's nothing on my calendar except the meeting, and then I want to just look at the regular school calendar. There is an AAU game scheduled in the gym from 7 to 9. And that is the only thing that I see on the calendar. And I have no idea what kind of draw. I don't attend those.
So you'd have to be in the library.
I think parking could be an issue. If you really think you're going to get people to turn out, you need to have parking available. Because if people think that they're not going to be able to park because of the game's going on, then they're not going to participate. And that's really what the object of this is.
Joe, what do you have going on at Polteny High School?
A lot of people. Oh.
The 10th?
Yeah.
Nothing. We're good.
You're good? So why don't we have the first meeting in Polteny, and then we can determine whether Proctor or West Rutland for the next meeting. If Jen was here, I would ask her. Unless, do you have that?
I have it open. My parking lot is not ideal for
Okay.
a larger turnout. But if that's where it needs to be, it will be there.
Okay.
Is
That
this
okay?
something,
Everybody? To
is
have
this
it in
something that
public?
would be virtual as well, too?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there would be, we have to by law offer a
Yep.
hybrid option, or remote option. So
So
that's where the library might be.
next meeting, April 10th,
In Polteny.
Polteny High School
Yep.
In the library, in the gym,
Library.
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 Okay.
I know where that is now.
Excuse me.
Right. Moving on to new business, bus monitors.
So So this was a discussion that was brought up at the last meeting. Lauren had brought this up, and we said that we would come back with some information about the cost, and I do have some numbers for the board. So we're looking at to run to utilize a bus monitor. It's approximately $65 per day. So if you're looking at a full year amount, so $65 per day is like it's $32.50 per morning run and then per an afternoon run, so it's $65 total. A full year amount that's on a 180-day calendar is roughly right around $11,700, or $58.50 per run, and that's based on about an hour and a half per run at $20 per hour plus tax. So we have currently in Quarry Valley we have 8 buses. So full year that would be $93,600 to put a bus monitor on all of our buses, or $46,800 per run. We are currently utilizing a bus monitor in one of our schools just to address some issues, but that's something that's responsive to the need. But this is something which the board had asked for us to have this information for you to discuss whether or not we would look to explore a bus monitor on all of our buses.
Okay. Does anybody have questions, discussion? Go ahead.
I do. If the child was on an individual program, could a special ed budget pick up some of that cost?
So if it was part of an IEP or part of a child's plan, then yes, that would be something we could look at, special education cost, picking up that cost for someone to ride the bus with that student, yes.
So would you automatically put a monitor on every bus, or only those buses that are struggling?
So this was just
No, I know.
Right, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me how this work. Okay,
No,
thank you.
I'm just
Yep.
putting that out there, that's all.
Okay, thanks.
I guess personally, I don't feel like we need to implement it on every bus, but I think it is something that we need to budget for if the need arises. Just because there aren't issues on all buses now doesn't mean there won't be.
So have somebody on standby or somebody,
The funds available if needed is what I'm just saying. I don't know if we necessarily need to have someone on call per se, but.
okay.
And just so we've already approved the FY26 budget, so if we were looking to add this, it would be for FY27. So if we were looking to expend these funds, we'd have to look at within our current budget to do that. So to add this to the budget would be part of FY27 budget discussion. So.
I think it would be something that you'd use on an as-needed basis. I don't know how that would look like, obviously. It's hard to find people to say, you know.
I mean, I know the building admins deal with this more than I do. I know, Liz, you don't, because you don't have very buses.
So I currently have 2 buses. We have no bus aids on them. In the past, we have had one, depending upon the need of that bus and how full they are. I will admit they're not that full in West Rutland. To give you a number, probably about 30 or less, depending upon the day. We do also use, we have a school-owned van that if we have a child who might be in need of that is something that we also look as an option. And if it's a special ed cost, then we have a special ed van that we could use. We currently transport a number of students who are either homeless or have other needs in those vans.
Okay.
So that's for West Rutland.
And in Potently, we do have certain students, it's written into the IEP that they have someone to ride the bus with them. And then we do have a monitor on a bus that was having some issues.
How many buses? Can we like use Jay's template? You have how many buses?
Sorry.
How many buses do you
We
have?
have 4 buses.
Okay. And you currently have some people on the bus?
We currently have 1 bus monitor as of last week. And then we have 2 other people who are working, but that is for a special ed for IEP needs.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And then we have the Wells bus, which we don't have a monitor on that one. The high school, so we have the high school as the 5th one. And the staff.
In the separate bus, yeah.
So who do you hire as a monitor? Is it a teacher that?
We, in the past, we have used a paraeducator.
Okay.
Because it was tied to a special ed plan, and that is someone who is willing to come in at 7. Those buses leave right at 7, or a few minutes before they're rolling. So it's someone who is willing to do that both in the morning, and for consistency's sake, we ask them to do it in the afternoon as well.
Okay.
Same with us.
Okay. I didn't know. I needed a little explanation there.
Yeah.
So it sounds like building admin have it figured out. I mean,
And we don't want to, I got the feeling that we don't want to add that cost.
$93,000.
Just use it as needed,
I
right?
think as needed is the best way to go.
So I don't believe we need a motion or anything on that.
Just brought back information to the board, so.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Lewis is not here for finance. Do you have anything, Chris?
No, if there are any questions, just let me know and I can
Okay.
contact Lewis and email you back with that, so.
Okay, moving on to personnel. Contract recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made on contract recommendations. Any discussion?
are any of the people on the contract list currently on a plan?
I'd have to ask them.
I'm just looking, no.
If you're a teacher on a improvement plan?
None of mine are.
None of mine are.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. B, probationary non-renewals.
Motion to approve.
Motion's made to approve. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. General public comment. None. Future meeting dates. We have April 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in Pontley at the Pontley High School Library. Future agenda items.
Can
Moving
we
on.
send them to you? We'll send them.
Yep.
Okay. Because I've got some, but not, I'll send them.
Okay.
Thanks.
And we have need for an executive session.
Yeah, very brief.
Okay. On personnel.
So motion to take a break and move into executive session at 7:25.
Motion's been made. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So move.